Welcome, everybody, to the May 2023 Online Coffee with Devon and Angel Messages. I am so grateful to see all of you here for this roundtable discussion about using our intuitive abilities, experiences, and how we are developing through our spiritual process. The first thing I'm going to do is a couple of quick announcements so people have time to log in as we're going here, and just some new things in case you didn't know about them. I am on a team of content creators at a website called SeriousJoy.com, created by Sensei Christopher Witecki, and we've got some amazing new changes coming for this service. Some of them have already started, and I wanted to share with you the ones that I am offering because I've had a lot of requests for daily angel messages. On SeriousJoy.com, if you are a member, you can receive daily content, daily pep talks, daily angel messages, and even sound healing. There's so much content on there. Serious Joy is a result-driven life coaching and personalized astrology service. And I offer a daily show on there called Angel Intuitive, where I connect with the angels and deliver a message for you based on the energy. I also have a monthly show where we have actual online readings and 3 guests come on the show. It's called Angel Intervention. It's part of our Soul Support Group series, which is every Wednesday. And you can apply at angelintervention.tv to be a guest. And then as well as the dynamic personal content that is coming. If you have ever wondered if you have a personal archangel, I just released a series based on your birth chart that tells you what angel to connect with to help you with your life purpose. So if you are interested, go check that out at SeriousJoy.com. It's only $3.99 for the first month for trial. You put your birth chart information in, you get customized text all day long. It's really fun and it's worth a try. Now, I know a lot of you have already found me on there, and I just wanted to make sure that you knew about the new content coming because we have even more new stuff coming. And those of you who have been following, you know, Sensei Christopher Witecki is back, and he's going to be back to the Pep Talk microphone very soon, as well as soul support groups and other content. So we are just so excited. We are ready for this Jupiter going into Taurus and Mercury to go to direct to get going with all of this. So I wanted to make sure I got that announcement in there. And then also to make sure you know that I am trying to answer your questions that you leave in the comments too. So if you are watching this on the recording later, please feel free to put comments in there. We had 2 great questions from last month that I'm going to address, and I'm going to want to hear what everybody here has to say about them. And it actually is how I came up with the prompt for us to discuss during the journaling, during the roundtable discussion. But of course, if you're listening to it at home, you can have a journaling prompt for this. So here is the prompt for today, so you can be thinking about it as you're hearing these messages. So what is your spiritual practice for manifesting what you desire? So I just wanted to talk about Serious Joy right there. I use the Serious Joy step system created by Christopher Witecki, which is based on the current energy, that the degree the sun is moving through. It's fascinating. I've been using it for years for developing self-love, my spiritual practice, and of course, manifestation. And I had a couple great Mercury retrograde. I had a couple great questions. We're going to get to those after the end of the angel messages. I just wanted to make sure I had time to get to those announcements while everybody was logging in here. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you for your patience with all those announcements. Let's get into the May 2023 angel messages for the Online Coffee with Devon. And of course, if you haven't seen them, the May angel messages are already up on my YouTube channel. And these are meant to be an extension of those messages and just checking with the current energy. Now, I know I always ask for these messages to reach you when it's in your highest interest. I say a prayer of protection, asking that I only connect with God's highest vibrational beings, and the messages be for the highest good of those who come across them, because we know angels will not tell us what to do. We have to use our intuition when we hear these messages, because they don't want us to give our power away. They want us to go with what resonates and then check in with our own intuition. So if something does resonate with you, I encourage you to write it down, even if you don't really know what that means at the moment. That hindsight is a very powerful tool to help you understand the messages you're getting, use the intuitive abilities you were born with. And you're all here because you're all intuitive. And that's what I love about this discussion, is we get to hear what everybody does to tap into divine guidance. Now, the first thing the angels wanted us to know about the current energy that's going on and through the end of the month is that we are seeing new opportunities coming in for us. And we have been working towards this. We've been having opportunities to get new job offers, to take trips, to connect with new groups of people, maybe even pay off some loans or some debts. And they want to commend you that that's the effort you're putting into is going to pay off down the road. They see that it's not happening quite as fast as you want it to, but it is coming for you. And they understand that that's where you are focused right now. And even if you're not, if you're retired and you're focused on other things in your life, they see the way that you are trying to manifest a better day-to-day life in your home, in your relationships, in your lifestyle. So please know that they understand this is what you are looking for, whether that's in relationships, career, or your health and fitness. And listen to these messages with those three categories in mind. They understand that a big challenge for all of us that we're finding, and they know we're aware of this, but they see it too, is just the objective decision making. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of things we can put into place, we can take action on. And it doesn't really seem like we know the clear answer. What's the best path for us? We want to be independent. We want to show others that we are realistic and that we are objective with our decision making. But of course, we have Mercury in retrograde at the time of this recording. And so it's kind of funny. It's like we want to move forward. We want to make a decision, but things just aren't that clear yet. And they do have guidance for us coming up about that. The main thing is that if we can stand back and try to find the humor in the delays, in the humor and the changes that might be coming for us, that's really going to help us with this energy, because there is energy coming in that is going to require us to respond, not react. Now, don't go to the worst case scenario here. We want to focus on high vibrational thoughts, but that's a lot of the guidance here is just you're here listening to these messages for a reason. So these are just a heads up to let you know you might get some information coming in really quickly that almost seems harsh or even tacky the way it's brought to you. And they have more messages about that coming up as well. Now, one thing that you may not be aware of that's subconsciously going on is that it's time to make more time for those around you. There are people around you that are wanting to offer good advice. They're wanting to offer their experience, but also your loved ones, your personal relationships, your friends. They're needing a little more time from you as well. And this is something that you might find you're struggling with. You're so focused on making a change in your current reality that it's hard to make time for those around you and let them know in a kind way that you may not have time the way you used to in the past to get together and spend, several hours chit-chatting. And that's a message we've been getting for pretty much the last year, that we may have to just set a lot more boundaries around our time in order to manifest this life that we are wanting. But we do want to take that sensible approach, and we want to take a kind approach. We want to make sure we are still making our loved ones a priority and letting them know, but we can tell them in a loving way, I love you very much. Let's make time to do this together, but I really need this other time to myself to focus on what I'm trying to do because the energy is getting ready to move forward. We want to be prepared. And that's what the angels have been preparing us for all this, really since 2020. So they also want to commend you on the way you have been focusing on the relationships that are worthwhile to you, the trustworthy relationships that there are people who support you. They cheer you on when you have success. They're always there for you when you have a new endeavor, to support you, to give you feedback, and that you've also been focusing on bringing that happier home life in, like we said at the beginning of these messages. And they just want to commend you for basically keeping your eye on the prize and not letting these slowdowns, these delays stop you from keeping your eye on the prize and moving forward. Even if it feels like nothing is moving, just focusing on high vibrational energy, keeping your own energy up is really, really important through the rest of this month. So take time for naps, take time for play, take complete breaks away from the work as well. But then do remember, if you start to feel yourself feeling anxious or going into negative thoughts, try to redirect, go to your spiritual toolbox, get out those pocket affirmations, whatever it is that you do for yourself to redirect your mind and focus on high vibrational energy. The good news is right now we are experiencing recognition for the work we're doing. We're getting recognition from our spiritual team, maybe those around us, maybe our close relationships. For some of us, this may be people we work with or just even in our community. So give yourself a pat on the back and go ahead. I'm going to encourage you to write down what is the most recent compliment somebody gave you for the work you're doing, or maybe even just divine guidance that came through that really validated what you're doing. Give yourself credit for that because it's going to bring in more. And they want you to know, just keep going. New partnerships, new opportunities are coming your way if you keep moving forward, because you're really coming into your own with this energy and they see the way that you're embracing it. And your personal power here is coming from the way that you are releasing harsh judgments over the past. This could be past business failures, past relationship failures, maybe judgments over the way you've treated your body or your environment. And they want you to really embrace the forgiveness and compassion about that and draw on that strength to move forward. Whatever you learned from those situations is going to be your strength there. Now, they also want you to know, like they said earlier about subconsciously, there's more people around you than you may realize who can give you encouragement, bring in constructive criticism to what you're doing and help you find that confidence in yourself. So that's why I wanted you to spend some time today, and if you can over the weekend, just writing down your most recent accomplishments and where you've been recognized for the work you're doing. And maybe you need to give yourself credit. That could be what it is go back and review. Like I said, Mercury in retrograde, review time, review the work you've done up to this point to sharpen your skills and give yourself credit for all the work you've been doing. They do say that the thing that we're going to have to be aware of and not fall into the trap of for the rest of this month and really throughout the summer is what they're saying is this imaginary prison. A lot of times we put ourselves in a trap that isn't really there. We think we're backed into a corner and it's just an illusion. I get this a lot in personal readings with people where people have set up a story that they are trapped and they just need a new perspective. So this is why they're again reminding us, if you're going into fear-based thinking or negative mindsets, you're going to continue to stay in that imaginary prison. So keep that in mind. If you start to feel your energy drain, what is something you can do to get out of that feeling? Maybe it is going outside for a walk, going for a swim, going and hanging out with your pet so that you can just get out of that mindset so you don't fall into that. Because as things come in over this next month and throughout this summer, it's going to be a little challenging to hear this information. They said this at the very beginning. Some of this information may come in an abrupt way. It may mean that we have to change our plans. It may mean we don't have all the information before we start acting on it. And now we're going, I thought I was about to hit the green light and I'm not ready now. So that's where this guidance is coming in to give yourself recognition for how far you've come to this point. That's really important because that's going to help you keep the eye on the prize, as they were saying. So some actions that you can take right now to begin activating this guidance and this energy is making sure you are listening to your intuition. That's the whole reason we are here, but we do have to have patience with that. And if you're not sure what your intuitive system is telling you, then be patient, slow down, sleep on it, ask for guidance in your dreams. And if you're not sure, if your intuition is not clear, then you need more information, you need more time. So again, remembering not to react, but to respond. And then coming up, there are going to be these new opportunities they keep talking about. And it's some of the new opportunities are going to be because you're ending something. Maybe you're ending a job, maybe you're graduating from school, maybe you're ending your career and you're going into this new retirement phase of your life, but it is time to move on from these energies. So if a new opportunity comes in to do something, they're saying that's going to be really good for you for moving through this energy. And then finally, in the long term, just make sure you're revising any plans that seem like they have poor timing. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to move deadlines. You know, I know that quote, they say that a goal without a deadline is just a dream, but sometimes the deadline is not realistic and you need more information. So wait until you know more to act if you're not clear on that, and just be prepared to delay and to change things, especially if you are traveling or you're looking at certain investments and things like that. Be okay with changing your plans or slowing down and just being ready to wait for the right time. So the keyword I heard when I was looking at these messages going forward, and they are saying this is for throughout the entire summer, it for here in the Northern Hemisphere, right? Is energize. So make sure you're bringing more energy to your plans, your routines, and whatever it is that you can do right now to reorganize things and make things flow better is going to be good. So just remember that keyword of energize. And sometimes that means taking a break and taking a nap or taking a vacation or just doing something different to re-energize yourself and not get stuck in the negative thinking and fear-based thoughts. You've got your spiritual team with you to support you. So that wraps up the angel messages for this month and this online coffee. So let's get started. And, I will come to you if your camera is on. If you don't want to talk, just leave your camera off. No problem at all. You do not have to do that. Now, I wanted to go over these questions I had so I could explain why I came up with this prompt here. So let me get to the questions we had. And like I said, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. I will put these messages up later for you guys to see without the video on. And let's see here. So one of the things, let me move my screen down here because it's very hard to see there. There we go. So one of the questions we had was from Maria B on my YouTube channel. And she said, I had lately a vivid dream that all my heavenly guides in heaven called me Emerald. They said that my name is my name is Emerald in heaven, and in earth it's Maria. Can you tell me if in heaven we really have different names? And if so, do they call me Emerald? So I get these questions a lot because I also get questions about what's my guardian angel's name? What's my guide's name? This is really subject to the interpretation of how you receive guidance. You might hear Emerald and I might hear something entirely different. My experience is that we operate on an energetic level when we are not of this realm. And so names are not necessary. And when I was first reading your question, I immediately saw color. And I have also experienced through past life regressions and life between life sessions with hypnotherapy that you tend to emanate more of a color and a vibration when you're not in this reality than a name. So people recognize you by your vibration, by your color, which is really fascinating. So I encourage you to go read the Michael Newton series on past lives and life between lives series using hypnotherapy, and you'll get a lot of guidance there. They're fascinating. There's a lot of other books on that as well, but I really resonate with Michael Newton. And then Linda had a message about advice on how to bring in healthy love and job opportunities. Well, isn't that perfect for the prompt? We're in Taurus season here. And if you follow Serious Joy, you know that that's the I manifest state of awareness that we are in right now. So this is a perfect question for us to go around the table here and discuss, as well as any other questions or intuitive experiences you would like to share. I don't think I say that enough, how much I value hearing your own intuitive experiences, because we have a lot of people that are new, that are just listening into the recording, and they need the validation that their experiences are similar to others. So feel free to share any experiences you're having. And I'll say the prompt again. What is a go-to spiritual practice for manifesting what you desire? And I will say, like I said, I use the Serious Joy step system. And then also I'll ask for guidance in my dreams. And even if I don't remember my dreams, usually it'll come through my journaling. And if you missed last month's online coffee, we had a fantastic discussion about dreams. So make sure you go listen to that on my YouTube channel from April. And also, I wanted to share an experience with you. I have been having a lot more clairaudience in the nighttime. In fact, I heard 2 nights ago, I was meditating because I had woken up and I couldn't get back to sleep. And that's one of the techniques I learned through Dream Yoga by Andrew Holacek is instead of getting into that mindset of, oh, I can't get back to sleep, you go into a place of meditation and you look at it as a gift. And so sure enough, I went into a deep meditation while I was lying there in bed, and I heard the word storm super loud, super, super loud. And we do get some pretty bad storms around this area at this time of year. And so I went ahead and called in protection for my home and my family. Well, the next day we did have lots of weather come in, lots of rain, but everything stayed really perfect. And we got the water we've been needing without the damage. So I'm going to continue to do that, but I wanted to share that message with you about listening to things that come in. And then instead of going to a place of fear over, okay, what does this mean? You know, okay, call in the protection, do the work that you do to help yourself move through that. Okay, well, let's get moving through. And I see Candace is the first on my screen. Candace, would you like to unmute and let us know where you're zooming in from if you'd like to?
Well, hello. I'm zooming in from Texas,
Woohoo.
very close to Devon, actually. And overall, I just want to say this energy has been so weird. Last week, I think I cried like 3 times, just randomly having panic attacks. It's like, everything's great, I'm good. And then all of a sudden, and I was like, wow, this energy is insane. I feel a lot calmer now, but I feel like everything's happening and manifesting, but that we're still being like judged and trying to like be brought down. And that's kind of what I've been working through. And to your how do you manifest question, I really like the journaling technique and meditation technique where you like meditate what exactly a perfect day would be like in your life, or I guess kind of like what you want. And after you meditate for a while, you journal it, write it down, like every single step. How do you feel? What are you wearing? Who are you with? What is the weather like? What are you drinking? What are your kids doing? Just all the things, and just picturing upon that
Yeah.
has been really helpful.
Yeah, that's really good. And I will get pushback from students sometimes about that because they say, well, you know, I said I wanted somebody tall, dark, and handsome. And the guy that came in was blonde and blue eyes and a little bit different looking, but I'm in love. So does that mean this is not my soulmate? So when I'm doing this journaling, it's you have to always leave it open for or whatever is in my highest interest, because
Right.
what you're doing when you're journaling like that is you're just feeling what it feels like to have that in your life. So it's okay if you're trying to manifest, if you write you want a red Porsche one day, but the opportunity to have a blue Porsche comes in, it doesn't mean that that wasn't what you manifested. It just meant that you were tapping into the energy of having the Porsche, which attracted the one that was most available to you and the best one for you.
Right.
Wouldn't
And
you say
I
that's the
always
case?
finish journaling prompts and whatnot with this or something better,
Perfect.
so leaving it open for the universe.
I love that. And I love that your reminder about what you're wearing. That's one of my favorite things to do when I'm really trying to bring something in. And especially if you have a decision to make, like we were talking, we're going to have a lot of opportunities coming in, is what the angels are letting us know. And we're going to feel like we have to go ahead and decide right away. And they're saying, no, 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 pause, don't take everything coming through the door, check in with your intuition. And this is where I will picture, what am I wearing, all the way down to my shoes, who's standing with me, what is the weather, what do I feel like, and that will help me make a decision too. And that takes the pausing, going into the visualization meditation process, right? Do you have a go-to meditation you use, or do you change it up?
So one of the meditation classes that I've done is a 20-minute meditation, but it's segmented in 4 different steps. Like the first 5 minutes is just your grounding, and you kind of like set a timer, it dings. Then you picture what you want, what you need. Then you're picturing like this whole bliss of everything around you. And then it's like, what next steps? So it's divided up in 5 minutes every time. So then by the end of it, you're in just this total blissed out state. And takes a while to get to that 20 minutes for me, because I'm usually a guided meditation person, and that's what I like to create myself. So having just silence or chanting, and then just, but then once you get into it and hearing the ding of like the 5 minutes ending and going to the next steps, it was a really, really awesome experience. So I've done that class twice, and tried to get back into that.
And is that a class you created or because I've
No, my
I've taken classes from Candace and she's guided me through meditations. They are phenomenal. She's a Reiki master. And tell us your website if people want to see your offerings too, because
oh,
I really
well,
enjoy the way you work
sure.
with me.
It's www.beherenowandlive.com. And I do have a intuition class coming up, and I do online and in-person Reiki, and I do create guided meditations to cleanse your chakras. And when I do Reiki on my client, I tap in and I'm able to feel what chakras are blocked, and I kind of get the emotions that go with it, which kind of opens you up to discuss, and then it just kind of, you never know what happens.
I know it's different every time, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. No, we have a local group here called Garden Ridge Holistic that we did with another friend, Jessica. And we have had some in group ones where Candace has led us through some yoga, or Jessica does the yoga and Candace did the meditations. And I mean, the colors and the peace. And remember last summer we even called in some rain during the
I
drought.
know, that was cool.
So,
And the wind came all of a
oh, it
sudden
was
and then it
beautiful on
started
a hot
sprinkling and
summer
we were like,
morning. Here comes the wind and the rain. It was amazing. Yeah, it's powerful when you work together in a group.
yes, absolutely.
That's awesome. So what else has been going on with you? Did you have any experiences you wanted to share beyond that, or
Um, sure. If can I get into the paranormal just a tiny bit
go for
or
it? We're here to
okay.
talk about anything.
So I blocked off my mediumship when I was a kid because I was terrified, had no one to talk to. This past weekend I went to the Victorian Black Swan Inn to have a market, which is like an extremely haunted place. I have never been there before. Me and a friend went. We're like, well, let's go check out the markets. Everyone's telling us that, it's unique and fun. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I've heard it's really haunted. I don't know if I want to deal with that. Normally, I just deal with whoever kind of approaches. I help pass on the message and goodbye, go
Mhm.
into the light. So we go there. I'm there first and there's no one around. So I'm like walking around the property and within the first like minute or two, I see this lady in this attic window and she's checking me out. And I'm not like scared, but I'm like, whoa, that happened in no time. I didn't even get like a feel for the place yet. And of course, like I protected myself before I go. Um,
So
but
my first question was going to be, did you shield your
oh,
energy before you went
Oh,
in? Yeah.
yes, for like days because I
Yeah.
was like, I've heard so much about this place, and I was like, I'm just not sure what kind of energy. This lady felt okay. But so as soon as like the shop owners and stuff started arriving, I was like, okay, who's the lady in the attic? I was like, I'm getting like a Sophie, Amelia, Sophia. There's some kind of and they're like, yeah, there's a Sophia and an Emma here. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, okay, well, I'm picturing 1890s, maybe like right past Civil War time and brown hair, curly in a bun. And they were like, yeah, that's Sophia. Like she makes herself known. And I was it was just kind of one of those like instant validations of like, okay, I know I just saw someone. She was staring at me. Like, this is the name that popped in my head. And that it was like confirmed within a few minutes. I was,
Wow.
"Yeah,
Yeah. Very
awesome."
validating.
Yes. But there's definitely some darker energy in there that I am not going to mess with.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. But I went the good ones.
Well, and as far as how quickly it happened, I've learned from my experience and my training that, the minute you use your free will to decide you're going to go, then everything's in
It's gonna
process for
happen.
you to
Yeah.
have the experience you
Mhm.
have. So
Right.
my very first mediumship experience where I went to a medium, I remember starting to tell her, I want to make sure I connect with my grandma. She goes, oh, no, 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 honey, don't tell me
Yeah.
who you want because they will be
Right.
there. You've already started calling them in. And I was like,
Right.
really? And she's like, yeah. And it's not going to be just your grandma, And so, this is my first time going to a professional medium. So I didn't really know what to expect. And of course, before I even went in, I said the Lord's Prayer and I did all my
Mhm.
shielding, but my experience was amazing. And I could not believe the amount of relatives and people who showed up, and
Yeah.
people who showed up that weren't my family. They were like extended family's family, but they again knew I was going to be there. So it was the
Right.
opportunity for the
Part of
message to
your
come
soul
through.
family. 'Cause that's
Right, right.
when I do Reiki, that's when because I touch and guide, and I do it a lot different than normal. But I always get people come in when my client is actually relaxed and in the zone, because we don't get in that often enough. So when they're able to relax, and when I'm touching or trying to heal and bringing in the light, like I'll just say, "Hey, I feel this man like in his 60s. He's an uncle, I believe." I'm like trying to I'm like, "No, fatherly, but not quite." So it's either an uncle or like family friends. And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's," I'm like, "Don't tell me name. Stop, stop." Just say, "Okay," because I don't want them to put thoughts in my head. I want to just like, let me just like throw out there what I'm telling you,
Right,
and then
right.
we can talk about it in a little bit. I was like, "I just want to let you know, like I'm feeling this energy." And then I keep going, and then I'm like, "Okay, does this make sense? Did they wear glasses? Like, I see a park, like, and then we connect the dots like at the
Right.
end." So yeah, no, I completely agree. That's like the don't say anything when you go to a medium.
Well, and I mean, I think over time it does after doing it for a long time, it doesn't bother me the way it used to because it was because a lot of what you're doing is you're validating your own work,
Right, right,
and then you eventually it's like it's more efficient just to have a little bit of that information and be like, yeah, that's validating. But I wanted to also say that I love how you quote unquote said you don't do Reiki the normal way. Cause I mean, of course it's normal because it's you doing it, but I mean I love that because this is the big thing that I've been trying to break through with what the stuff I teach is there's not a right or wrong way or a normal way to use your
right,
intuitive abilities because it's so different for everybody. And I don't know a single Reiki practitioner, intuitive, medium, angel reader, tarot reader, astrologer who does it exactly the way that they first learned it. um,
right,
it's just we needed that guidance to just trust the way that, to get into a place where we started trusting our gift that we already had, we've had since we were born. We had to go through those classes and learn that, but everybody eventually does it, customizes it, and makes it their way. And then the beauty of it is the person that needs that method finds you. That's how we attract our
right,
audience. To kind of circle back to our journaling prompt about manifesting, a lot of it is, you being you as authentically as you can, and then attracting the client that feels that energy as well. And then it's a positive union. It's one of the reasons I've never liked offering gift cards or gift sessions. I've had people say, can I, get a reading for my friend or my mom?
right,
And the truth of the matter is, the person has to be in alignment with your energy and be open to it for the right
mhm,
amount to come through. It doesn't mean they won't get any messages, but it's so much easier if they, on their own free will, say, I want to go book a session with Candace and I'm open to whatever comes in.
right,
So I like to use this example. Over 3 years ago, when I started these coffees, I had to pick a time that I knew I could reliably show up for them so that I wouldn't have to miss one. In fact, I've only missed one coffee, and it was last June when Justin Speller hosted for me and did a fantastic job. I believe he was co-hosting with Robbie too. I didn't record that one because it was them doing it and I didn't want to take away from what they were trying to do, but it was a fantastic coffee, but we still had the coffee, right? But I knew that with my kids, with my other work that I have to do, with my regular schedule, that this was going to be the only time. And I knew that that also meant certain people weren't going to be able to come live or be able to come consistently live. But we've managed to do it every single month. And then when I got lots of the requests to do the recording, that worked out even better. But I had to get to an energetic space where I was comfortable with the recording process of it because I wanted it to feel intimate. So it's just funny how we evolve over time with how we attract things. But, when I first started those online coffees in person in Texas with about 7 of us sitting around a table, I didn't envision this and being able to talk to people all over the world doing it. And I love it so much. And it's my honor. So, wanted to just add that in there to the prompt. Did you have anything else you wanted to share before we move on to
I'm
Melanie?
good. I'm good.
Well, thanks for being here. I know it's been hard for you to get here for a while, but it's so good to see you again. And we need to catch up very soon for sure. And things
Yeah,
slow down with the end of school year stuff. Oh my gosh, it's so much.
I
So,
know. It's a lot. All
all right, let's talk
right.
to you
See,
soon, Candace.
thanks.
Thanks. Melanie, how are you doing?
Hi, good. That was such an interesting story, Candace. I love that. That was interesting to hear. Yeah, I'm doing good. It's pollen season, so there's that.
Yeah, we've been
Here up
dealing with
this
that down
way.
here. Where are you zooming in from again? Remind me.
Ontario.
Oh,
I
that's
think
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So we have it kind of close, pollen season in Texas, and yeah, getting into the spring pollen.
Well, I always feel like it's this really funny thing because it feels like being outside and in nature is supposed to be so good, and yet like there's all these problems with being outside, and it's fine, but it's like I'm kind of a little angry that I'm allergic to the outdoors.
Mm,
So I'm trying to work through that because after like a whole winter of being unable to go
inside.
outside, and now it's
Mhm.
like, oh well, you can look at it, but
Yeah.
you may or may not be able to go out in it. But
I'm just curious, have you researched any holistic methods for allergies? I've heard that there can be some really good energy flushing and
oh
essential
yeah.
oil methods just focused on allergies.
Oh, I should look into that. I only noticed seasonal allergies like maybe a year or so ago. It's pretty new for me.
Mhm.
And I still doubt it. I'm still like, well, that's probably not what it is, except I know the pollen counts are really high. And so probably that's what that is.
Yeah.
But it just feels like a weird misalignment to be allergic to nature. Like
Right.
I don't like that.
I hear
Um,
you. I hear
but
you.
that's a good idea. I should look to see if there's some energetic thing to do because
To at least minimize what you're having to experience. I mean, we can't change that we're breathing it in and all that. Our body's going to have a reaction, but I've heard that with certain practices and certain uses of essential oils and other things, floral essences, you can, and you'd have to consult a specialist because that's not my specialty with that stuff, but you can minimize the impact of it at least, and maybe get a
yeah.
little more time outdoors.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just that, I mean, everything's energy. So I'm always like, well, why
Exactly.
is happening? What's
Good for
going on?
you.
What do I need to look at?
Yeah. I wish more people would do that, right? I mean, that's what we're here for. But if everybody was
Yeah.
asking what's the why behind the why, it would be a lot more helpful.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. That's why this
Yeah.
group is fun.
Yes, so fun and always so great to see you. Thanks for always being here.
Yeah.
What's been going on for you? Or did you want to talk about the prompt first?
I mean, the prompt is really interesting. I don't really have a spiritual practice to manifest. I have a lot of it's funny, like I tried to do the vision boards and like all of that other stuff, but I usually find if I try to put down concrete things, I then like 3 months later, I'm like, oh, I don't want that at all. What if I manifest? And then I like have to take it off. And so, and I appreciate the idea of like this or something better. I probably should be less worried about manifesting something I don't want, but that just is I don't know. It's like a weird, like, what if I use up the energy to get this thing I don't actually want?
Oh, that's a good, well, so
And I
that
know you
is
can't use up the energy.
right. That's taking away from the abundance mindset to start.
Yeah.
And it also is, in a way, you could also say, or whatever is in my highest interest, instead of saying this or something better. If that's that big of a concern, if that's where you're getting locked in to feeling trapped with that energy. I feel like Candace has a comment on this. Did you have a comment? Okay, go for it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Exactly what you said. You're blocking your own energy. It was like, oh, hun, just let it happen. Just let it happen. And whatever you put, you can maybe like just add to it. But like when you get scared that it actually is going to happen, and take it away, then you're taking it away from yourself.
Well, and that's
There's
the
so
fear
much
of success we
energy
talk about,
too.
right?
There's so much energy. And so like, just
Yeah.
put it out there and see what happens. And don't take it down. Just look at it and feel uncomfortable looking at it. Be like, that is what I want, I think. We'll see. But like, just let it happen. Let it happen.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's the fear of success thing that comes in there. And we interpret it as I don't want that. So that was a failure of mine to manifest that. But one of the things I do get with certain clients is they'll get a reading that's showing they're going to be super successful, like even potentially famous for the work they're doing. And they immediately say, I don't want to be famous.
Mm.
And I think it's all in the preconceived notions and old belief patterns around what it means to be famous. I think we all came here to manifest something that we want to be seen. But it's the way that it's seen that we're afraid of. You know what I mean? If you don't want to be seen, maybe you don't want to be seen on the red carpet as the person who spends all their time at the salon. You want to be seen as the very thoughtful, wise author. But there's still going to be somebody who has to observe it in order for it to be appreciated. And that's where people go, well, I don't want to be famous, but well, then what is it that you're here manifesting? So that's a little bit of a side note from that, but I really appreciate you saying that, Melanie, and great point too, Candace, that sometimes it is the fear that, I said I wanted that and then I got it. So that's the old be careful what you wish for thing that got indoctrinated into us when we were kids. That's societal conditioning, the be careful what you wish for. And I do think that there's a level of, be careful in the sense that you want to make sure you're doing it from a place that's in the highest interest of all involved, that it's coming from a place that's from the heart, that your heart is really wanting it. But I know too, the question is, well, what if I don't really know if my heart wants it? Or what if my heart changes his mind? Right, Melanie?
Yeah. Yeah. And like that feeling of being trapped.
Yes.
Of like having manifested something that was really great for someone, but not really great for you. And now you're like, what do I do now? Because I'm now somebody's version of success, but not my version of success.
Right.
And the idea of changing my mind or my heart. I just think about like the things I wanted 5 years ago, and I'm so happy I didn't get them because I don't want those things. And I didn't really want them then, but I thought I wanted them.
Well, and there you go. You didn't get them because really on a higher level, your higher self knew you didn't want them. So you weren't really attracting them. And the other thing that I want to remind all of us that are doing this work, because whether you're doing it intuitive work professionally or you're using your intuitive abilities for something else, it is that idea that, there is no wrong in what you're doing. So you can pick something up and then go put it down.
Yeah.
That's allowed. There's not like a scorekeeper saying, oh, they put another thing down. As long as we are going, okay, what's the why? Like you said, Melanie, like, what is the reason I don't love this project anymore, or I don't feel called to spend time doing this anymore? And what can I learn from it? So the next project I manifest or the next thing I'm trying to bring into my life, I have boundaries in place to, because that's where we see like a lot of failed relationships. People say, well, I want a relationship, but then they didn't really take time to understand what caused the failure the last time or what happened. And so they end up right back in another relationship with maybe different details, but similar dynamics, because they didn't really get to the bottom of why that relationship didn't work. And that's just an easy one since we've all had to deal with relationships, but I know it can come to something you're manifesting too. Right.
Well, and it's so interesting because I think of like work, like your relationship to your employer is just another relationship, right? And so it's like kind of the same thing. If you don't deal with the reason why that relationship isn't working, then you're just gonna find a different version of it.
That's so true. And also the process of asking your heart what it wants on a regular basis. So I mean, the heart has the right to change its mind, and which means you have a right to change your mind. And that's why the guidance is always with the angels, like, just come from a place, a compassionate place when you're doing these things. And then everything will work out the way it's meant to. It's when we make these abrupt changes. I don't remember which coffee it was, maybe you do, where we were talking about abrupt changes in relationships, and maybe it was February because it was kind of around Valentine's Day. I remember the prompt came up about this idea that we have to cut people out of our lives because they're not on the same path, they don't have the same beliefs. We've gone through the, spiritual journey of waking up and really embracing it, and they're not interested. So now, we don't align. There's a compassionate way to handle those relationships that's not just cutting everybody out of your life and going on a spiritual journey to the other side of the world and not talking to anybody for a year. You know what I mean? Now, some people do that. They go, meditate in monasteries, which is what their soul wanted. But I think it's like you said, it's that idea that you can move away from a dynamic in a relationship in a compassionate way if you need to. And it's okay to keep asking your heart, do I still want this? And if your heart is saying, I don't want this anymore, then you're going into the, why don't I want this anymore? Why? What is it about this that I don't want? And is it something that can be, altered or fixed? Is it a upfront heart to heart conversation? Is it a sit down and write down all the details and look at a list of things? I have to do that occasionally. I remember one time when I was trying to decide whether I was going to move from out in the country where I had my horses, dogs, and cats. They had a lot of room. I was looking to see if I was going to move kind of closer inward where we wouldn't have that much space. I was writing down all the pros and cons. And I realized that I was trying to convince myself that staying was the better option. But when I actually saw everything written down, there was way more reasons to move to the closer in and be closer to family. And I kept saying, no, those aren't good reasons. But that's where I realized, am I really listening to my heart? What does my heart want? And I realized my heart wanted to be closer to everybody. And, so that was the best decision for me. But it really took me getting around this mindset. Well, I've already committed to living out here, and I've been living out here, and all the things that come into place where we find ourselves, quote unquote, trapped in a situation that we're not really trapped in.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like trapped in someone's success, like that's somebody's dream, but it's just not what you want.
Very good. Yes. That's a really good point too. Yeah. I agree with that completely. Well, is there anything experiences you wanted to share before we move on?
I'm trying to think of anything. I mean, most of my experiences are just very, like I was walking this morning, and like one of the themes that I'm working on, which I know I brought up at coffee before, is this feeling of like, I don't want anyone to be hurt if I am successful. Like this is just sort of, and it turns out, because just a bunch of stuff has been happening, that this has brought up memories from my childhood and all kinds of stuff. So this is like clearly something bigger, and I'm working on it. And as I was walking this morning, I really sort of like saw it as like this like sort of thorn just kind of sitting there. And I was like, all right, okay, well, I can see it now. I don't know how long it's going to take to work on it, but like, it does feel like things are now coming into my life to just keep like tapping on it, which is irritating, but like probably good. And so that's been a really strange experience where, you really see the people. I don't know who says this, but somebody talks about the idea that we hire the people in our lives to play out like the stories that we need to play out. And you just, people start saying things to you and you're like, that's really out of character for you, but that hits right on that thing that I'm dealing with. So that's interesting. I saw that.
And I love the timing of it because it was after the full moon eclipse we had last Friday that you're seeing this thorn. So, all the astrologers, they're talking about this is eclipsing something out of your life to bring in something new. So this was being brought to your knowledge. And that's the thing, is it takes about 6 months for you to fully see the process, but you're already at the point where you're like, okay, now I see it.
Yeah.
And now you can allow it to go because you see it. So, and that's really valid about the childhood experiences coming up. I think we will relive an experience that our guides or angels kind of put in our mind again, just to point out the synchronicities of it. Sensei Christopher Witecki taught me that really up until your Saturn return, you're living past life stuff.
Mhm.
You're just reliving past life stuff to see all the karma you're working for. And a lot of times it's to see what you don't want in your life, or to see the things that didn't work. And so that's a kind of a way to look at things that have happened in your past and through your experiences, so that then you can say, when you are 29, 30, you're looking back at where you've been. Okay, now have I been in alignment with what I really want? And sometimes we haven't even been able to identify what we really want until that point, because we've been in these old
Mhm.
cycles reminding us of what we came here to do. So
Yeah,
hopefully that's
absolutely. Yeah, I felt like my life was really like, I don't feel like there were these like big choice points until after my Saturn return. Like when I look back on it,
yeah.
it kind of, it doesn't feel, it was like, yeah, that's what you were going to do.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so interesting. And I've talked to a lot of astrologers that haven't reached their Saturn return, and like the ones that are getting close to it, like they're in their, 25, 26, like second portion of their 20s, they tend to be like, I don't know why, but I'm just so anxious. I'm so anxious. And I think a lot of it is because they can feel the Saturn return coming, and because they're already in the energy working it with it, but they don't know what it is yet, because you kind of have to go through everything into the Saturn
Mhm.
return before you really identify it. So it's
Yeah.
an interesting thing, but so many tools available that hopefully all of us getting together is exposing to others, so they don't have to go through it alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Melanie. It's always great to see you. Christy, so good to see you. How's it going?
Hi, good to see everybody. It's going pretty well. I have to agree with Candace, though. The energies before the eclipse were very erratic for me. And I just felt a lot of stuff coming in, including childhood stuff, stuff that I thought that I had worked through, and then it seemed to come up for a nice visit again. So,
Yes, yes,
uh,
I've experienced that as well. And I guess that's the point of it, right? Is to say there's still a little more there, right?
that's exactly how it
There's
feels. Just a little tweak there that I thought wasn't there
Well, and
anymore.
almost like it feels sometimes almost like an invitation, like, are you gonna go back to that mindset? Are you
Yes.
gonna let that happen again? And so that's where it's agitating, right? Because you're like, why are you taunting me with this? I thought we healed this. Yeah, it's always a peeling back of the layers, right? And then we think we've gotten to the center, and then there's more. But I guess that's what I always like to tell people is I feel like, if we get to the point we're done, then we're done. Like we're done with this incarnation. So I don't think we're here to be done with that. I think we're here to just keep going and then learning and then manifesting in a way that helps others, really, you know? So yeah, I agree. And I felt it too. I started feeling the agitation energy Tuesday night before the eclipse. And then the eclipse energy, I'm trying to think of when I finally felt kind of clear again. It wasn't until probably Sunday evening that I started feeling more like myself again. It was pretty foggy and crunchy and all the things that full moons bring.
So true.
Yeah.
As
So
far as
what
manifestation goes, I think for me, one of the things that helps me a little bit is to remember that higher vibrational energies come quicker. Uh, Also, I think there is a delay if I, would accidentally have a thought. In my mind, when I first started thinking about manifestation and vision boards, I thought if I have an errant thought, it's immediately going to show up. But that hasn't been the experience for me. It's, higher vibrational energies come in faster. And here's just kind of a silly example. I feel like with Taurus season coming in, manifestations do come a little bit faster, but it's the silly things that come faster. Like, oh, I wish I could have a great ride home without traffic. That's something that I was wishing the other day. And it was like the waters parted and I had this beautiful section of not having traffic. Whereas if I'm manifesting something bigger, attempting to manifest that, it's a little slower coming. All of the energies have to align with my energy in order to make that happen. So it has to be something high vibration that I'm in alignment with to actually manifest and manifest to a faster degree.
Right.
But something that I use that I thought was funny, I did not come up with this, is like this little tiny book. So you can buy these little tiny storybooks at like the Dollar General store, and then you just fill it up with like little fun things, like crafty things if you like a cute
Yeah.
crafty project that is inexpensive and doesn't take time. And then you can revise those if you decide to change what you're looking at.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
fun
And then, because that's one of the things too, I noticed with clients, they don't really want a vision board where everybody can see it. And I put my visualizations in my journal, kind of like that book, because to me, it's like, yeah, I want to protect the energy around this. Yeah, well, I mean, partly I want to be able to have it with me if I really need to have that reminder, but also it's protecting the energy around it, right? Of what you're trying to manifest. You don't want people walking by. You've got the, you know, $1 billion house up on your vision board and people are going, yeah, right. Like you're going to ever have that, and it's like, don't put that energy on my vision board, So I've always recommended, if you do have a vision board, keep it somewhere like maybe on the inside of wall of your closet where you can just like move the clothes and look at it, or just somewhere where the back of your door of your room or something where it's protected. But I love that idea, Christy. That's really good, because that's an easy one to redo if you just want to start all over.
And I just keep mine, like you said, by my altar, like for my meditation space.
Oh,
and that way I
awesome.
can just flip through it really quick.
Yeah. And Robbie Hunt taught me another neat thing, because she's really amazing at developing ceremony. And she developed a ceremony for my husband and me when we got married. And she said, if you want to, I would love to see a picture of what the altar looks like, but know that I don't need to see it. And I would encourage you to be careful with who you share that picture with, because there's an energy within the picture that you're protecting there. So it's not the thing that you put on Facebook, which of course I wouldn't have done anyways, but it's like that reminder that whenever we're putting something out there, you just don't know I've gotten so much more reserved about what I put on my Facebook page. I still do stuff because I have family members all over that want to see pictures and it's easier, but I'm careful with who sees them. And it's kind of that same idea of whatever it is that you're manifesting, you don't want anyone putting their energy on it. You want to keep it protected. So that's a great one. And I wanted to tell you a visualization I do for the traffic. I will, if I know the route, like the one I do all the time from work, I actually visualize a golden light going through the road all the way to home. So it's almost like I'm creating a golden highway. And then, I always say I am in divine flow. So I visualize my entire route with just golden light to make it flow. And that's been really good for me if I felt crunched on time. And then not everyone's into working with angels, but Archangel Metatron is really good at helping with that as well, with giving you the time and space to get there. And then of course, the old fashioned, well, if this car pulled out in front of me and started going 20 miles an hour slower, probably they're keeping me from some kind of accident further down the road. So I am in divine flow. But isn't it so rewarding, Christy? I love that you shared that when, you weren't really expecting it to be an easy drive, but the way that it was just so beautifully parted for you to get home is just so validating. And it just, it allows you to stay in that high vibrational energy even more. So yeah, I love that. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to add? We're getting to the end of the hour and I don't see anyone else's screens on, so I'm assuming they just wanted to listen. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to add before we wrap up? Well, I'm so grateful you were all here. I know it's such a busy time of the year. I know it's not always the easiest time of day to get here, but it means so much to me to see you every month. And for those of you who are watching later on the recording, same as well. I'm so grateful you're part of this. We feel your energy. And the next online coffee is June. I had this written down. Well, I'll just say this. It's always the second Wednesday of the month. I'm very grateful for all of you being here. Don't forget to go check out the May angel messages, and I'll try to get the June ones up in about another week or so. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks again for being here. And remember, take time every day to connect with the angels. Bye, everybody.